Match week 24 begins in the nation's capital. It is an all-Ontario battle tonight at TD Place in Ottawa, with the Ottawa Rapid returning home to take on AFC Toronto, who are top of the table. This is the Northern Super League presented by BMO, and I'm alongside former Canadian Youth International Jessica Lisi. My name is Matt Cullen. The Battle of Ontario, Jess, it doesn't get much better than this. And let's begin with the home side, because this is an Ottawa team that went on the road over the past week. 3 straight matches, 4 time zones away from home, and points in all 3 games.
Yeah, they're a team that's been very impressive, Matt. They've been connected on both sides of the ball this season, but there's so much variation in the kinds of goals that they score, and you saw that in those first 2 clips. But their game against Vancouver Rise was very impressive. They didn't have their cleanest performance. It wasn't, the most dominant performance from them, but they found a way to win. They had that mentality. They were able to dominate on the moments that were presented to them. You saw many different goal scorers. Overall, a very good game from them, from the fact that they were able to find ways to find the back of the net despite it not being their cleanest. And Jasmine Wilkinson also picking up her first ever NSL goal, which you love to see that depth, and you can see the excitement. You just love to see it.
All smiles for the Rapid, and now all eyes turn to the longtime Canadian international and 3-time Olympic medalist Desiree Scott, who announced earlier this week that she will be retiring for good this time at the end of the Northern Super League season.
I think it's fair to say we're all sad to see her go. She's such an impactful player, whether that's from her defensive abilities in breaking up play or offensively being that outlet and keeping her team connected. So she's definitely been that rock in the midfield for the Ottawa Rapid this season.
No surprise that Desiree Scott, the destroyer, starts in the midfield for the Rapid. 2 changes on this side, though, from that last match. We saw the 3-0 win in Vancouver. The other Scott, Olivia Scott, draws back in on the back line as Suzanne Holland moves to the bench. Florence Belzile also moves to the bench as Melanie Forbes draws in. And the attack, she plays next to DB Pridham, the goals leader this year with a whopping 18 on the season. And Stella Downing, who scored in Vancouver in her hometown, will play on the left. And Downing joined us moments ago, pitch side. Stella, the Rapid are unbeaten in the last 5 games. This is perhaps the best stretch of the season so far, and the stakes only seem to get higher down the stretch, including today against top-of-the-table Toronto. What's been the team's mentality during this great stretch of play leading up to today?
I think we're just taking it game by game. Every game is an opportunity to grab points, and of course we clinched, but it's not enough. We're trying to win the league, and that takes every game. Every point matters.
And Stella, you seem to make an impact every time you step onto the pitch, either as a starter or a substitute. You got a big goal in your hometown last week out in Vancouver. What is the personal part of your game that you've been focusing on lately, particularly today against AFC Toronto?
Thank you. I think the part that I focus on the most with my game is controlling what I can control. There are a lot of things that, obviously, I can't control, but I can control how hard I work and giving everything for the people beside me.
Thanks for this, and good luck today. So Downing and the Rapid will look to do some attacking today against this AFC Toronto side, Jess, that you've been impressed with this year.
Yeah, they're a side that's often praised for their attacking strengths, Matt, but lately I think they merit just as much recognition for their defensive work. The improvement has been very noticeable since the beginning of the season from both an individual level as well as that overall cohesion. You can see that clarity in their connections both within and between lines, the tenacity in their 1v1 battles, but also that precision in their press. And they have so many players that contribute to that. But Nikki Small is somebody that continuously shows up. She's, the leader of the league in tackles for a reason. She's got 89, but she's somebody that is able to contribute on both sides of the ball. If she has the ball at her feet, she loves to go 1v1. She's lethal in and around the 18, so definitely a player that they have to keep an eye on tonight.
Leads the league in tackles, as you mentioned, but also tied for first in assists, doing it on both sides of the ball. 6 assists for Nikki Small on the Northern Super League campaign so far this year. Taking a look at the AFC Toronto starting 11, just one change today as Chloe Uttenberg draws into the middle. No Sarah Stratigatkis today. This is Uttenberg's first start since all the way back on match week 2, end of April. So Uttenberg right in the middle. Kaylee Hunter and Esther Okoronkwo both on great form right now. Dangerous up at the attack. And Zoe Burns playing on the right side. This is her 5th straight start, and she joined us moments ago. Zoe, it is a big game tonight. It's not just the Battle of Ontario, but it's the top 2 teams in the Northern Super League. Tell me, what's the mood in the squad right now?
We're excited. You know, these are the types of games that you want to play first against second. It's always going to be a good game. And we're just excited to be here. And as always, just do our best and see what happens.
And you've made a big mark on this team in a positive way since you joined back in July. This is your 5th straight start. What part of your game do you think has flourished the most this season?
Thank you so much, first of all. I would say just, attacking wise, being like playing it as a true wing back, and not just like as a fullback. Like with our setup, I can actually attack a lot more than I have like in the last few years. So being able to have the coaches trust me and be able to make some things happen offensively as well as defensively, I think that's been the biggest thing for me.
Perfect. Thanks, and good luck today. Sets up to be a great match this evening, not just because it's 1 versus 2 in the table, but look at how well these two teams have played over the last 5 matches, particularly in the goals for and goals against. AFC Toronto now 13 weeks in a row at the top of the table, 12 goals for, just 3 against over the last 5. Also Ottawa, though, creeping up the table, despite that long road trip where they had 4 different time zones to cross in the 3 games, just 2 goals against in the last 5. And that's a big reason why Ottawa right now in sole possession of 2nd place. But AFC Toronto still 6 points clear of the rest of the pack. Vancouver hopes to wrap up the final playoff spot with a positive result this weekend. Montreal also looking to improve its standing as well. Friday night, under the lights in the nation's capital, these fans are ready for the Battle of Ontario. It's AFC Toronto and the Ottawa Rapid coming up next from TD Place. All set to go to begin this 24th match week in the Northern Super League. Desiree Scott, as per usual, wearing the captain's armband. We'll have a few extra eyes on her after announcing earlier this week that she will be retiring at the end of the club season. And she does battle with her Rapid against Kaylee Hunter's AFC Toronto, who have dominated the Northern Super League, certainly over the last couple of months, top of the table. We begin tonight, this Friday night, with the Rapid hoping to close the gap to just 3 points. They can do that today with a home victory. Katrina Peterson certainly hopes that's the case. AFC Toronto, though, does find themselves in a position they could clinch the league, the Shield, if the results go their way as well. Be a first bit of attacking here for the Rapid at home. That is stymied, though, by AFC Toronto. And Jess, these two teams have played head-to-head pretty closely this year. There's been a couple of blowouts, one on each side, and then a couple of close games as well. So what should we get here for the 5th and final round between these two?
I think this is going to be an exciting game. As a fan, you're going to want to watch this one, an intense game between two teams who have been very solid on both sides of the ball, and they've both grown so much throughout the season. But they love to keep the ball. They love to possess it. They also have a lot of variation in the ways they can score goals. So I think we're in for an exciting one, Matt.
We're officially into fall, but still a beautiful night in the nation's capital. 17 degrees Celsius at the time of kickoff today. Just a light wind of 10 kilometers per hour. Really ideal for mid to late September, I suppose now. Esther Okoronkwo has 4 goals and an assist in her last 3 matches for AFC Toronto. Wins the first corner kick of the match here in minute number 2.
And a set piece is something that they've been working on, Toronto. They're a team that said that majority of the goals against have come from set pieces as well as transitional moments, but offensively they've really been trying to hone in on those set pieces, and they were able to score a couple goals off of them when they had that 7-0 victory over top of Vancouver. So let's see if they can do it here again, Matt.
Will be the Canadian international, Emma Regan, the only player to have played every minute of every game in this Northern Super League season. Not a surprise she starts for the 23rd straight time. And electing to go short here, Regan will deal the ball into the penalty area, and that's countered neatly and sent away, at least momentarily, by the Rapid. Melanie Forbes doing the job there. Chu is hoping to move quickly. And now we'll put the ball back in play. Jaleesa Harris facing some pressure, and it will be the keeper, Melissa Dagenet, making sure there's no further action. Playing again to Forbes. We'll move to the back line again. Harris looking for Stella Downing in the middle. No time, no space against Emma Regan's AFC Toronto, who closed that gap quite quickly.
And we mentioned that in the pregame show, Matt, their defensive structure and how connected they've been. They haven't given teams very much time and space when they are on the ball. They're a hard team to beat when they are set. So being able to get themselves in that set position and not get broken down is something AFC Toronto has to focus on.
Okoronkwo in the penalty area, puts the ball right into the middle, and a great block. Spinning around and defending well is Kayla Adamick. And the first opportunity of the match goes to AFC Toronto, and certainly danger when Okoronkwo gets onto the ball.
And Okoronkwo has been somebody that's contributed in her ability off the ball. She finds that ball really well, but then she also has the IQ to recognize that a cutback is what's necessary there. And Chloe Edinburgh's not able to get to it quicker than the Ottawa Rapid, but that is the right move. You see the runs being made. They have to continue to do that and to utilize a player like Esther Okoronkwo coming off the front.
Here's a look at Marko Milanovic. It was a terrific away record this year, with just 2 defeats in 11 matches, but said this match would be by far the toughest. The 5th time that these two will face each other. Said, no, there's no more secrets anymore. And to break down Ottawa, a team that he complimented in the best form of the season so far, will certainly be a tall task. Hansen will move back to the keeper, Sierra Cotillard, who makes her 8th consecutive start in front of the Toronto goal. Into the middle, and that's Desiree Scott, who will have one more home game to go in Ottawa in the regular season. And of course, both these teams have locked up a spot in the first ever Northern Super League postseason. So not time to say our goodbyes just yet, but certainly a big announcement this week from Desiree Scott. Certainly someone that so many in this country have looked up to with her achievements at the Olympics and across club football for over a decade.
Yeah, without a doubt, I definitely have looked up to Desiree Scott. Growing up, watching her play, she always had such grit and tenacity in her defensive play, but also was able to contribute so much offensively. She was always a special player, so definitely sad to see her go.
Okoronkwo down this right side, and for the 2nd time within 6 minutes, she's won a corner kick for AFC Toronto. Regan took the last one. Looks like Colby Barnett, who is always a threat coming down the wing, will head to the corner flag as we meet the match referees for tonight, led by the 34-year-old Montreal native Isabelle Duclos, who's been a national referee since 2024, 11th appointment of the season for Duclos as the head referee. Barnett delivers another good ball, high, arcing in the penalty area, causing Ottawa problems. And finally, after a moment of tension or two, finally taken away.
Yeah, Ottawa does well there to clear that out. You have a left-footed in-swinger. It's very dangerous from that side. Okoronkwo does well to get up and attempt to redirect that towards frame. She was ready for any second ball, but Ottawa does well there to get that out of the danger zone and not play with the ball back there.
Nikki Small defended well by the Poland international Kayla Adamek. Barnett sends this ball forward. Hunter looks to advance the attack. Got the top 2 goal scorers in the Northern Super League in action tonight, with DB Pridham with 18 and Kaylee Hunter with 12. The only 2, Jess, this year to crack double digits.
Both very impressive players, and players I know I would not want to defend against. That's for sure, Matt.
Certainly a tall task, as there is the top 5. In fact, with Okoronkwo, who's been on a good goal-scoring stretch lately, great form. 3 players in the top 5 all in action tonight. Pretty good showcase in terms of the attacking. But as we saw in our pregame, both these teams have been very solid defensively as well, so something has to give here tonight.
Yeah, and that was just another example there, Matt. You were seeing Toronto pick their moments. They started to creep up. They were in shape, and they started to creep up to apply that press, and they did apply just the right amount of pressure. It actually deflects off of a Toronto player, and the ball goes back to Ottawa, but they didn't allow them to create anything going forward, anything too dangerous and threatening. So it's very well done by Toronto. They typically have such great support when they do apply that press. It's very precise.
Barnett whips this forward. Both Hunter and Okoronkwo trying to run onto it. Uttenberg just a half step off the pace, and it's won back by Stella Downing. Back-to-back starts for the Burnaby, BC native. Brings a lot of pace, and Trina Peterson said really likes her game. She can be a starter, she can be a substitute, but always when she comes in, she impacts the game in a positive way.
Yeah, she's a bit of a spark plug. That's how I always describe her when I watch her play. She always makes an impact with her energy and her work ethic. If Stella Downing is off as far as being able to put the ball in the back of the net, you know that Stella Downing is still bringing that energy.
Into the penalty area, and Cotillard has to get down to make a good save. That was certainly a threatening ball. And in the 10th minute, it's Ottawa's first opportunity, and they want to move quickly again. Forbes takes the ball from Adamek. Top of the penalty area, looking for Mina Lee. Adamek again. Forbes tries to go inside out on Barnett, and Barnett denies that, and then is sent down. And not too many referee interventions to start this match, but it is a foul going against Ottawa. And Jess, of course, first big opportunity here of the match for Ottawa started like this.
Yeah, and Harris has been nailing these balls time and time again to Pridham. That ball over the top. Pridham doesn't need very much time and space to make something happen. You're seeing there, she takes that touch, goes across her body, but Cotillard coming up big. And Cotillard is somebody who stepped into that starting role a little bit later in the season. We saw her get some starts at the beginning, but with Sophia Manor out, she stepped up and she's really made that role her own. She's done very well and looks very confident back there.
First save of the match against the dangerous DB Pridham. 3 games to go. DB on 18 goals. Certainly a legitimate question is, can she reach the big 2-0? Of course, she'll want her side to try and make up these 6 points and then some to try and win the Shield. And so far, Ottawa, who have been better over the last couple of minutes, back into the attacking phase of things. Here's Desiree Scott. Returns to Olivia Scott. Adamek tries to cut towards the middle, but once again, Barnett denying that. Desiree Scott will play back, and Ellen Gibson taking over. Ball up and over the top again, looking for a DB. This one just a yard or two too heavy on the pass, and we'll go for a AFC Toronto goal kick.
You're seeing Toronto sit very comfortably in that block and allowing Ottawa's back line to have the time and space and forcing them to make a decision with not many options. You see there Harris trying to play that ball over top to Pridham, but there isn't enough room for her to be able to catch up to that. It ends up just rolling out of bounds there. But that direct ball does seem to be on from time to time, so Harris definitely has to be aware of it when it is on, and we know that Pridham is somebody that loves to get in behind and make those runs when she can.
Goals in back-to-back games for DB Pridham, scoring the winner late at McMahon Stadium against Calgary, and then also scoring in that 3-0 win at Swangard Stadium in Burnaby. Been remarkably consistent as well. Also scored a hat-trick, the first and only NSL hat-trick against AFC Toronto in a big road win back in June, something that Marko Milanovic said was a turning point to AFC Toronto's season, realizing that they had to dig a lot deeper.
Yeah, he said it was a wake-up call, and you know, they came back the next game and they put out such a great performance, I believe against the Vancouver Rise, but they're a team that has shown so much resilience, and he said that their consistency and their resilience is actually what he's most proud of as a coach. It's not necessarily those wins, but it's the little things and their resilience and their consistency in those.
Burns will shift to the right. Small looks at Chu, tries to get around the South Korean international, and that is knocked away by Chu Woo-ju. 11th straight start today for Chu, playing on the left side. Here's Regan. The ball back and sent it again, just on the inside of the penalty area, and it will be into touch. Barnett trying to move quickly. Looking for Esther Okoronkwo. Knocked away, and will give Barnett another chance to reset. Same play, Okoronkwo in the penalty area. Regan's ball goes up and over top of the crossbar. So Okoronkwo wondering why there wasn't more there, but she certainly looks dangerous to start this match.
You know, this shows the importance of throw-ins, Matt, and just how much of an impact they can make on the game. This is a beautiful ball in by Barnett, and Okoronkwo continues to follow up. She does get tripped up there a little bit, but it's a little bit soft. I don't think there's anything in it. Emma Regan at the top of the box just isn't able to get her body over top of that. It ends up skying the ball, but we've seen Regan score from there, so that definitely could have been an exciting moment.
Regan 3 goals on the season. This is a touch from Forbes going against Kayla Hansen. And another goal kick coming up for Sierra Cotillard, 22-year-old. There was a look at the 25-year-old Regan. Really a great story, 11 caps now for Canada, 7 starts. First selected by the Canadian women's national team back in 2018. Went 3 or 4 years without a call-up and is now pretty well a lock for Casey Stoney's side.
Yeah, Matt, and we've had the pleasure of calling some of those games and seeing her grow on the international stage, and she's fit in. She is not somebody you would ever think hasn't been there for many, many years. She makes that role her own. She's very calm, cool, collected on the ball, and that's a presence that she brings here for AFC Toronto as well, a true leader in the middle of the park.
Harris comes up quickly. Plays to Chu. Stella Downing looks for time and space. And we'll play back to Liv Scott. Desiree Scott feeling some pressure coming from Uttenberg. Ottawa might have a chance to break through. However, the referee's whistle goes, and it is the flag that comes up for offside as we cross over after a quarter of an hour of play in Ottawa.
Toronto getting lucky there. Soto comes flying out. She has to be able to time that. She comes flying out, and the ball ends. Wow, excuse me. That did not come out the way I wanted it to. That left a gap in the back line, and you saw Pridham be able to get on that ball. Obviously, Forbes was offside in the end, but if she had time to run just slightly better, that's potentially a goal, Matt.
Assistant referees tonight, Alicia Carlucci and Natalie Berry on the touchline, while Sheila Couture is the 4th official for the match here today. Uttenberg given a big opportunity tonight, as AFC Toronto certainly is missing some of its usual big presences in the midfield. Victoria Pickett dealing with a knock, starting on the bench today. Sarah Stratigatkis, since joining AFC Toronto, has also been pretty well a lock for Marko Milanovic as well. So Uttenberg draws in, and it's really a long time since she's last started. Here's Hunter down the left side. That's a great challenge there. Goes for another corner kick. Read perfectly by Liv Scott.
I was going to compliment the touch from Hunter. You see that skill. This ball over the top by Soto. She recognizes that Hunter is on. You see it here. Just a nice outside of the foot touch. Cheeky from her. But this is a fantastic slide tackle from Liv Scott. Well timed. And she's able to stop Hunter, who's very close to getting her foot on that ball.
Hunter, 17 years old. Won't be 18 until January the 22nd. Bright young talent with 12 goals and 3 assists so far in the campaign. Another Emma Regan corner kick is on the way. It is the right boot of the AFC Toronto captain. This time met at the near post and sent away by Mina Lee. Looking to spring Downing, however, realizing that AFC Toronto doesn't have numbers back, Soto just sends that away into touch again. Adamick into the middle. One back by Regan. And once again into touch. A couple of chances at both ends. Have you been surprised at how open this game is to start? First 20-odd minutes?
Not necessarily. I think, this is what I expected. Both these teams have that ability to create such dangerous chances, but I'm still waiting for someone to really settle this game down. Both teams right now looking a little hectic at times, making some mistakes and not being able to clean things up as they typically do. But you're seeing here now, there's starting to be that flow, some patience from Toronto, playing amongst the back line, looking for that option to be able to break forward. I think both teams, Matt, love to dominate on the ball, so we're seeing them battle that out and who's going to be able to really change this dynamic in their favor.
Battle of Ontario certainly hasn't disappointed this year. And just maybe might not be done with the playoffs fast approaching. Both these teams have secured their spot in the dance. Barnett, Okoronkwo should try and fend off Adamick, and it is the Nigerian international Okoronkwo. Just a tad too aggressive for Isabelle Duclos' liking.
Yeah, you're seeing another look at it here. You see that shirt pull, and that's absolutely warrants a foul. Adamick is a player that goes in hard, so you do see that shirt pull from Okoronkwo in the end, trying to win that battle.
Uttenberg's ball played forward. Hunter stopped in her tracks by Jalisa Harris. Taken back Downing. Sees Barnett coming up. Two hands, the push on the back to Ottawa's number 98. And we'll go for an Ottawa free kick. Harris played 45 minutes in the last match at Vancouver. It was the first time that she hasn't played a full 90 this year, but with 3 matches over 8 days in 4 different time zones, you can certainly understand the need for rest. Biggest match is still yet to come for Ottawa, and of course the big center back.
Yeah, and she's been somebody that's played a massive role in keeping that back line tight and a huge leader, both from a vocal standpoint, but as well as the amount of effort she puts in. She's one of those players that uplifts those around her. So definitely a bright spot for this Ottawa team so far. Very consistent presence for them in that back line. We've seen her get on the ball and send those direct balls, but also put in those, those tackles that come clutch in the end. She's putting her body on the line. So a very good player.
Right now watches as Olivia Scott plays back, and there is Harris. Chu. Forced back again by Nikki Small. Melissa Dagenet, the keeper for the Ottawa Rapid, has faced AFC Toronto twice, and in fact has emerged without a defeat with a victory and a draw, just 1 goal against this powerful AFC Toronto team. So Dagenais has played them well and will look for some support. Might be here from DB Pridham. Overran the ball just for a brief second. Played out wide. Opportunity lurks for Ottawa in towards goal, and it somehow just missed. The flag does come up as DB Pridham. Normally that's automatic in the back of the goal, but Ottawa again whistled for offside.
Well, this starts from some great effort by Pridham. She finds Mina, who's able to slip that ball through, and Pridham continues her run. Forbes gets this ball across, but she isn't able to time her run, Pridham, and she does end up being slightly offside. But that movement off the ball, Matt, that is what makes Pridham so great. She's able to finish in a variation of ways, but she creates so much from her movement.
Mina Lee. Ball just a bit too aggressive for Stella Downing. Yeah, we've seen DB come close a couple of times now. And it is still early days for the Northern Super League's top scorer in terms of this match. Adamek. Receives some instruction from Katrina Peterson. Ball into touch and back again to Kayla Adamek. Defended well by Uttenberg. Downing though with some help from DB Pridham. Ottawa's won the ball back. Tight quarters on this right side. Into touch again, and it will be a deeper Ottawa Rapid FC throw.
It's well defended by Colby Barnett, but you're also just seeing the amount of numbers Toronto has right now. They're not giving any time and space. They're outnumbering Ottawa in a very dangerous area.
Desiree Scott moves forward. DB again, stops, pulls back. Desiree back into the middle, looking on, and for Forbes, and for the third time already within 24 minutes, the flag comes up as Ottawa is offside. And some looks of confusions now, of confusion, I should say, on the Ottawa touchline.
It's a little hard to tell from this angle if that was offside or not, but there just has to be that recognition of how to time your run and when to go in and not to be too eager, because you do see that ball coming across. So it's just something that all forwards have to deal with. It's one of the most annoying things, but you have to be able to look across that line and recognize, especially when you are on that far side, you have the entire line to use as a reference point to be able to time your run.
So tell me, Jess, were you often the guilty party when it came to offsides? Be honest now.
I'll tell you after this, Matt.
Ball through to Adamek. Looks towards goal, and referee looks to the assistant referee. Will be a goal kick.
Yeah, Kayla Adamek, you see her looking for that cut back a little bit, but she isn't able to wrap her hips around it. Ends up going straight to Cotillard. Doesn't challenge her. Isn't able to create anything too dangerous. But to answer your question, Matt, I was offside from time to time, but I did play as a number 10 in college, so I was usually the one sending the ball through. I did make those runs, but I wasn't offside too much.
Okay.
But it is a lot more difficult as a number 9.
You were feeding those passes through.
I was feeding those passes through. Sometimes. They didn't come off all the time.
Chu wants to move forward with this ball. Looking at Forbes. 2 goals, 5 assists on the campaign for Melanie Forbes, and those 5 assists tied for third is right now. Quinn leads the way, along with Nikki Small of AFC Toronto, 6 primary assists on the season. This is given away, and Barnett overruns the ball momentarily, but does come back. Left-footed cross into the penalty area, looking for Okoronkwo, and that's the physicality that she can bring. Just mistimes the header, but when she wants that ball, it's often hers.
Yeah, that was really well read by Barnett to start that run out. She continues to drive forward. She recognizes that she doesn't have numbers yet, but then she perfectly places his ball at Okoronkwo. You see Jalissa Harris there. She's ready, and she just throws Okoronkwo off a little bit. Okoronkwo not able to get up and redirect that towards frame.
Ottawa celebrated its first home win in Northern Super League history back on April the 27th. A couple of second half goals from Mina Lee and Desiree Scott. 2-1 triumph over AFC Toronto on that day. Dealt AFC Toronto a second consecutive defeat to open up league play. Clearly they've recovered nicely since that relatively slow start. What a moment that was, of course, though, for Desiree Scott, who played 188 caps for country, came close a couple times but never scored. First goal for club or country turned out to be the winner for the Ottawa Rapid on that day. Remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, her celebration, the shock in her face, the excitement from her teammates, from her coaching staff. It was definitely a great moment.
That was just the opening chapter of this rivalry between these two, which of course has flourished and taken a few more twists and turns. Ottawa won the first two. AFC Toronto did respond with a big 3-0 home win before the last match ended in a 1-1 draw.
It's well done there by Gibson to not allow Hunter to turn.
Small goes down. And on a delayed whistle, Isabelle Duclos deems that it is a free kick for AFC Toronto. Don't think Gibson particularly agrees.
Do you ever agree? No, you gotta fight. You gotta fight it out right to the end, even if you know you're guilty sometimes. Yeah, you see her get tripped up there a little bit after the play.
Ball into the penalty area again, headed towards goal, and forces Melissa Dagenet to come out and take that away.
It's difficult to redirect those balls with enough power when they're lofted into the box. Okoronkwo does well to get her head up there, but there has to be more runners in the box. Otherwise, there's not going to be much of a threat directly coming off of her head, unless it's a driven cross into the box.
Rollins watches this play back to the keeper, Coda Yard, who does have to hurry. Will get a second chance. Barnett, Okoronkwo, good touch. Played to Uttenberg, wants to unlock Zoe Burns down this right side. Burns with pace, running right at Chu. Cutting towards the middle, and once again it's Gibson. Second opportunity though for Burns, played back to Nikki Small, into the penalty area again, headed on towards goal. And it's a one-hopper from Kaylee Hunter that once again forces Dagenet into a save.
We're seeing Toronto time and time again come forward and create dangerous opportunities. They're just not quite getting that final action off as of yet. But Kaylee Hunter does well there to get up and challenge that ball. Nothing too threatening as of yet from Toronto. Didn't challenge the goalkeeper as of yet.
Heavy contact there between Downing and Barnett. Downing wondering if perhaps a switch in sides might be in order here.
It did look like she was signaling that.
This time it was Barnett whistled on the foul. Chu hurries down the right side, now back into the middle. Burns keeps a close watch, so does Rollins. Inside out, ball delivered in and sent away by Croy Soto. Played a half an hour in Ottawa at TD Place, right along the shores of the Rideau Canal. Almost given away, and perhaps given away by Liv Scott. Here's Kaylee Hunter, waits for numbers. Hunter's ball looking for Esther Okoronkwo, 1-on-2. Adamick has to be careful, tries to shield the powerful Nigerian striker and does do the job, and now the Rapid will try and move quickly. Lee scored her first goal in somewhat similar circumstances, now decides to pass forward, taken back by Burns, played by Forbes. Chu Ball is in, up, looking back post. Downing is there, couldn't put a boot to it towards goal. I'm wondering if a corner kick is the call. Doesn't look like it is the case. Chances once again at both nets.
I just want to point out too, Matt, that opportunity that Hunter is able to create comes from the fact that there isn't pace in the passing. There has to be more pace. It's one thing to be patient amongst the back line and play that ball, but there has to be pace in the pass. That way you don't have a player like Hunter who's ready and is going to pounce on you. And the ball does go back down the other way. You're still seeing that resilience and that fight from both sides, but Toronto has created more of a threat so far in this first half.
Harris steps up. Ball forward again. Lee tries to touch on to DB Pridham. That's read well by AFC Toronto. Okoronkwo. Play back Rollins. Unable to move up this far side. Adamick and Liv Scott. Pass into the middle, Forbes. Thought about letting that one go. And instead Okoronkwo trying to spring Hunter. Hunter might have a step towards goal, and that is the opening goal. Kaylee Hunter outweights the keeper, and it is the visitors, AFC Toronto, who lead 1-0 in Ottawa.
And Kaylee Hunter's ability to time her runs and make those diagonal runs in behind to break lines has been something that we've seen her show time and time again this season. She's such a bright young player. Her IQ is immaculate. And if you look at this, you look back at this, you see Okoronkwo, she looks up, great recognition, plays a perfectly weighted ball through. Hunter times her run and then confidently takes that touch by Dagenet and places it into the back of the net. This partnership between Okoronkwo and Hunter has also been a really fun one to watch grow over the season, Matt. A very threatening duo.
Another goal for Kaylee Hunter, who also scored on the first trip to Ottawa this season, a late goal in the 94th minute. But it is number 13 now for the 17-year-old, moving to within 5 of DB Pridham's 18 in the Golden Boot race. But it is a good start for AFC Toronto, who, if the results go their way, could wrap up first place in the Northern Super League standings by the end of the weekend.
And that's
Clinical
been their goal.
finish.
Sorry, Matt. That's been their goal since day one. That's something Coach Milanovic has mentioned to us. He said, you know, it's great that we clinch the playoffs. Of course, that's what we want. But our ultimate goal is to really win that first place. The best team wins first place in the regular season. So that's been their goal since day one. That's why they approach every game the same, whether it's the final matchup or, you know, a regular season game, in his words. And we see that. We see every single game they come out with that mentality and that resilience. They want to win.
Looks like an injury situation here in the 35th minute. Is Mina Lee in some discomfort heading towards the touchline? Just going back to Kaylee Hunter, already her 5th goal in 5 games against the Rapid this year. So we've talked about DB Pridham terrorizing the rest of the Northern Super League, but Hunter has pretty well done the same across the board, but 5-5 against Ottawa. You know that will be in the back of their mind.
Yeah, that's quite an impressive stat. I'm sure she wears that proudly, especially as she is trying to catch Pridham in that leaderboard for goals. A young star up and coming.
Ten minutes to go before halftime as both these teams talk some strategy. And it looks like, unfortunately for Mina Lee, her evening is going to come to an end much earlier than she'd hoped, as Julia Benatti comes in, scored a terrific free kick goal in Calgary in the middle of last week, part of a 2-1 away win.
from in behind there with Hansen. Now picking up a yellow card.
Some emotion starts to enter the game. DB Pridham. Pretty clear on the lip reading there. Not overly pleased about the situation. It's her fourth yellow card of the season. So she will be on watch now for the rest of the match. DB has 3 goals in 4 matches this year against AFC Toronto, and all 3 of those goals coming in the big 4-0 away win back on June the 7th. Been active early, and we'll take a run at Soto, who will let this go for another goal kick.
Seeing too many times rush decisions from Ottawa. They're not able to finish that final action. When that direct ball is on, that's great to play, but there are times when it's not on. In that instance, Pridham is not able to get that foot on Soto. It's very difficult. There's not much room for her to take advantage of, to pick up pace and create anything dangerous out of it. So that recognition of when to play direct and when to keep the ball has to be better from Ottawa.
38th minute, and you're watching the Northern Super League presented by BMO, official bank of the Northern Super League. 2 more matches coming your way, both tomorrow. As Vancouver and Halifax, the coast-to-coast rivalry, they will meet. And of course, one that these 2 teams will be watching, the Montreal Roses will host the Calgary Wild. The Wild now in must-win territory to keep the slim playoff hopes alive. Meanwhile, a Montreal loss would certainly change things at the top of the table as well. It is AFC Toronto, off of a first half goal from Kaylee Hunter. Right now she's watching DB Pridham, and DB is tangled up with Soto. You can tell that that's a rivalry that's only going to intensify throughout the evening, and DB's on a caution already.
So far, Toronto doing a good job to frustrate Pridham. Soto's right up in her face. I don't think there's much of a foul in that. You can see the frustration from Pridham, but Soto does well to sell it. She gets in her way.
She's blocking me.
Yeah, exactly. So it's well defended by Soto, and getting into the head of Pridham. She's been dealing with this now game to game, as everybody knows the threat that she brings. You have to try to throw her off her game mentally, and that's what these defenders are really trying to do each and every time she gets on the ball.
Another wave of Ottawa attacking. Desiree Scott pass a soft one in the middle and almost taken back.
Well read.
Ottenberg in the midfield. Coach Marko Milanovic of AFC Toronto maybe breaking away from the usual coaches speak by saying, we don't have to focus on anybody in particular in the opposition. We focus on ourselves. No. He said, DB, someone special, the Golden Boot leader, she deserves special attention, and that's exactly what she's going to get tonight.
Yeah, and you know what, Matt? I remember the last time these 2 teams met, Soto did a fantastic job at limiting Pridham. She did not give her any time or space to create anything dangerous. She made sure to stay on her back tight. She frustrated her, and you're seeing a bit of it already in this game. Pridham is finding her moments to break away. She is a fantastic player. She's going to find those moments. But for the most part, you're seeing that frustration come out of her because of the physicality from Soto right on her back.
Ottenberg alongside Emma Regan in the AFC Toronto midfield. Hansen to Barnett. Taken back by Kayla Hansen. She's played 90 minutes in 4 of the last 5 games, part of this AFC Toronto back 3. Okoronkwo. Play allowed to continue from Isabelle Duclos. Now Desiree Scott will play back to Jaleesa Harris. Is there some time for the Ottawa Rapid to try and level this match before halftime? Xu Wuzhu. Once again, little time and little space for Ottawa. Adamic. Played forward 1-on-2, and Adamic does well to maintain possession. Liv Scott to Gibson. Harris. Left down, struck on towards goal, takes a deflection. And not enough pace to beat the keeper, Sierra Cotillard.
We're not seeing enough bite yet, Matt, in that build-up play from Ottawa. They're a team that has shown it time and time again in their past matchups, but I'd love to see them really try to stretch Toronto out and then switch that point of attack.
There's Stella Downing, strikes towards goal, appeals for a handball, and so does the rest of the faithful here in Ottawa. And the head referee now might have looked at another one there and decides that is also not worthy of a handball. From our view, certainly the second one they had a case. The first one deserved a second look, let's say. All right, we get the benefit of replay.
Yeah, let's take another look at that. Downing goes to strike it. It does
Off of the
hit,
elbow.
Yeah, it does hit Hansen's forearm. It does look like it's against her body. Not sure there's something in that.
Okoronkwo, top of the penalty area. Taken off quickly, but she does regain possession. Ball into touch. Certainly the fans have livened up. It's a close call for Hansen, but she did well holding that arm within her body there.
Thankfully for AFC Toronto.
Ottawa has just had one penalty awarded this year, and it was converted by DB Pridham. Who else? It's going to be a yellow card here to Colby Barnett for some first half time wasting. Well, we wanted the Battle of Ontario, Jess, and now starting to see a little more heat here. Small tries to turn the corner, takes a shot that ends up in the top netting, and we'll go for a Dagenet goal kick.
It's the intensity we expected, right, Matt? You knew that both these teams are going to wear their hearts on their sleeves and bring that resilience and that intensity to the final moment. So this is still a very close game, 1-0 heading into half so far, unless something changes in this little bit of time as the clock winds down. But this is far from over.
Rollins watches this ball as it comes back to the keeper, Cotillard. It's a one-hopper, and there's going to be no risk taken from the AFC Toronto keeper. So into touch again, Chu. Looks at Benatti. Played back. Just the 1 minute of stoppage time added on by the fourth official, Sheila Couture. Downing plays the ball into Benatti, and this once again will be in for an AFC Toronto goal kick.
It's well done by Soto to really follow that out and not allow Benatti to get anything out of that. You saw her calling for the ball from Downing a little earlier. The hesitation sort of killed Benatti's run. The ball a little bit bouncy, not able to create anything dangerous from it.
Last chance before the end of the first half. Desiree Scott and Uttenberg. The goal scorer, Kaylee Hunter, who was set up beautifully by Esther Okoronkwo, does now have 6 assists on the season. It's the three-way tie now for the top of the assist category in the Northern Super League. Barnett Stops, cuts in, now cuts out. Some great footwork from the winger into the penalty area again, looking for Chloe Uttenberg. And that is the end of half number one. The 17-year-old phenom, Kaylee Hunter, great patience, great finish. The only goal in the first 45 minutes. And it is the team from the Lakeshore, AFC Toronto, with a 1-0 lead here at half at TD Place. But as you mentioned, this game far from over, Jess. We head into our halftime show as we continue to watch the Northern Super League presented by BMO. The score after 45 minutes, AFC Toronto leading a 1-0.
It's the goal they've been waiting for.
That is a highlight we will see over and over and over again. That is absolutely world class. Oh my goodness.
Welcome back to the Northern Super League. The action today presented by BMO, the official bank of the NSL. It is the visitors from Toronto, AFC Toronto, thanks to a Kaylee Hunter 32nd minute goal, who lead the Ottawa Rapid FC by that scoreline. Certainly no shortage of chances in that first half. We saw a couple from DB Pridham early on, and then some controversy at the end here, Jess. But let's rewind the clock here and take a look at some of the opening moments here.
Yeah, we've spoken about the variation that AFC Toronto has in their attack, and Okoronkwo is a player that has really lit up the pitch for them. You see some great combination play early on, and Uttenberg's able to get there, but nothing dangerous created out of it. On the other end, you have Harris, who's been looking for this direct ball, and something almost comes off with this one. Pridham does well to take a quick strike on frame, but Kodiard coming up big for Toronto. You see Harris here again, does really well defensively to shut down Okoronkwo in a big moment. Again, such a big threat. You do not want her running at your back line. And then this ball over the top by Soto. Great recognition, even better touch. Kaylee Hunter does so well here, but Olivia Scott coming up big for Ottawa, shuts Hunter down. And this is the goal, Matt. We see Toronto's able to win that ball back. Kaylee Hunter times her run. Esther Okoronkwo with a great slip ball through Hunter with a confident finish, a touch by Dagenet, but it starts off by a misplay from Ottawa. And Toronto's able to capitalize on it. But that fun partnership that's been created up top between Hunter and Okoronkwo is one that I have loved to see game in and game out.
Two of the top players without a doubt. And here is some controversy here, the downing shot.
Look, from certain angles, it looks like this is a PK. From other angles, it does look like her hand is against her body, but you seeing it here, it looks like a PK from that angle. There's definitely a case to be made. Her elbow doesn't look to be against her body, so I'm not sure. That could go either way. From that angle, it's definitely a PK, Matt.
Controversy at the end of the first half. Here's a look at our stats after 45 minutes. It is Ottawa controlling the possession at 54%. However, it is AFC Toronto leading in total shots and shots on target. 3 early corner kicks as well. And yes, we've seen some spice, a bit of heat, a yellow card each for both Toronto and Ottawa in the first 45 minutes. Our halftime show continues, and yes, we will talk the big news this week across the Northern Super League, and that is Desiree Scott saying goodbye to professional soccer at the end of this Northern Super League season. We talk Desi Scott on the other side. 1-0 Toronto at half.
Listen up. Right now, half of us girls drop out of sports by age 17. We need to step up our game. Miss Sung, let's work on getting us better court times. Mr. Morris, remember, more sponsors means more girls on the field. And Coach Weber, Dad. Thanks for making a space where girls feel heard.
The more we listen to girls, the more they stay in the game. Get girl coached at keepgirlsplaying.ca.
Welcome back to the Northern Super League presented by BMO. At halftime, the visitors, AFC Toronto, hold a 1-0 lead. And yes, those fans might need a bit of a wake-up here for half number 2. But first, we're going to rewind the clock. Two veterans, Desi Scott and Shannon Weller. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of the season. They talked their goals for Season 1 in the Northern Super League. And yes, on the home stretch to finishing the regular season. Let's take a look.
We're really fortunate to have some incredible veterans in this league, former national team players and current national team players.
They're not done building the game. They're not done leaving Canadian soccer better than they found it. And they're taking this leap into a brand new Canadian professional soccer league, the Northern Super League, because they care about that legacy and they care about that impact and they want the next generation to be stronger.
My name is Desiree Scott. I am an Olympic gold medalist. I have been very blessed to play for the Canadian national team for over a decade. The decision to come out of my very short-lived retirement and join the NSL was just that this league is something I've personally been dreaming of. I think it's what Canadians need and want and have been longing for so many years.
I'm Shannon Weller. I'm a center back, Vancouver Rise FC. So I started my senior career, here in Vancouver with the Vancouver Whitecaps. At the time, they had a semi-pro women's team. And then I moved to Europe. Moving overseas is a really difficult thing to do. The fact that we now have this opportunity here, I think it's really going to help grow the game.
It's something we have dreamed about for so long. Week in and week out, they're going to be able to see some of the best players in the world competing and just really going for their dreams. I think it's going to be really exciting.
I've watched so many players that I've played with never have the opportunity to play in Canada, and so to be able to help grow this league and to do it for all the players that didn't have this opportunity, that felt like a special thing for me.
One of the things that brought me to this point to want to come to Ottawa is that there is so many amazing Canadian athletes that potentially may have gotten overlooked without this professional league. It's always been about inspiring that next generation to help give back to the game and to continue to grow the game and leave it better than when I found it.
2, 3, team!
I think I've grown into being a veteran player. I've recognized over the years how much I've learned and developed, and that you can really help others who haven't had those experiences. It's going to help grow the player pool in Canada. I am so excited about this league. It's more than a dream come true, and I just really hope that the rest of the country gets on board, because we can do some really special things if they do.
So interesting and great to see those comments from two greats at the beginning of the Northern Super League up to now, week 24. And yes, we got some big news in the nation's capital this week, Jess, that the longtime Canadian international who did say goodbye to international football, she did say goodbye to international football, Jess, earlier this year, but now we'll say bye to professional football at the end of the playoffs. A legend to so many, and I know someone that you really looked up to.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, growing up, it was the Christine Sinclairs, the Diana Mathesons, the Desiree Scotts that you watched and you were in awe of and you wanted to become. And to be able to see her play in our own backyard is so exciting. And the fact that she's been a part of the NSL and we've gotten the pleasure of commentating on her mat, but just a true legend of the game, a very big bright spot. You can see she's always smiling. She's such a fantastic player. Obviously, we can go on and on about what she does on the pitch, but off the pitch, she seems to be such a fantastic person, such a bright spot, and such a great leader.
A terrific leader, and did it wearing the red and white for so long. But here in the first home game for the Ottawa Rapid, yes, that turns out to be the match winner against AFC Toronto. And how about the celebration from the longtime veteran?
Of all the celebrations, all the cool ones we've seen this year, this might be my favorite, the most raw.
It was just a concept or idea on a napkin, but 2 years ago it didn't even have teams.
Looking for the strike. Oh!
Now that's the finish. Northern Super League. It will transcend the sport, the Northern Super League, for years to come.
Yes, that's what we're working towards. The NSL final on November the 15th at BMO Field in Toronto. This is match week 24 as we wind our way towards the end of the regular season. And we do have 2 more matches coming your way tomorrow. The eyes turn to Stade Boreal just outside of Montreal. The Roses hope for a win against Calgary. Of course, Montreal trying to stay in the Shield race. Calgary hoping for that last playoff spot. And then here is the final game of the match week, and that is Halifax taking on Vancouver at Wanderers grounds. Vancouver with a win or a draw would wrap up the final playoff spot. Gonna be a busy weekend, I know, for you, Jess, but first things first, we got 45 minutes to determine a winner here. I know you'd like to see some changes from the Ottawa Rapid after that first 45 minutes.
Yeah, you know, we've seen what Ottawa is capable of this entire season. We've spoken about what they're capable of in the attack as well as defensively. They need to be able to move the ball at a quicker pace right now and build up, really try to stretch Toronto. Toronto's a difficult team to break down when they're set. We've seen how solid they've been, how they have a numerical advantage at all times on the pitch. They have that support for their teammates. So they have to be able to stretch Toronto, switch the point of attack, and really take advantage of that. We have seen a few chances from them. They're trying to get Pridham on the ball, but there just has to be some better connection and decision making on when to play that direct ball and when to keep it. But again, moving the ball at pace, that has to be the biggest thing for them to try to stretch out this Toronto team.
So what will it be in half number 2? Will AFC Toronto, who have to look at an early ball here, that's one way to keep everybody on your toes. Can't say I've seen that so far this year.
That would have been quite a goal, that's for sure.
Little set play here for Jaleesa Harris.
And we know she has the range, so you know, it wouldn't completely catch me off guard if that did end up in the back of the net.
So as I was saying, will it be AFC Toronto taking a big step towards winning this first season in the Northern Super League, or will the Ottawa Rapid take a big stride forward themselves and making it close? If Ottawa is able to come from behind, which they did, by the way, against Calgary midweek last week for the victory, they would move to within 3 points of the top of the table. Once again, alongside Canadian Youth International, Jessica Lisi. My name is Matt Cullen. Just 2 more matches remain for these 2 teams after tonight, as the standings remain tight. Adamick will push this forward, taken back by Croy Soto.
It's another example, Matt, of them just kicking the ball back to Toronto and allowing Toronto to really settle the play and play it into their favor here. There has to be a bit more calmness in their decision making for Ottawa. Fine feet. If you are going to play that ball over the top, make sure that you're giving your teammate a chance to be able to get there, but recognizing if that run is even on in the first place, based on body positioning, based on where Toronto's defenders are. All of that comes into play when you're making that decision of whether or not that over the top ball is on.
Desiree Scott will try and move Ottawa forward. Benatti came in 10 minutes to go before halftime on an injury substitution. Will have a chance to run, take on Hansen, and physical tackle there. Goes AFC Toronto's way.
That's well defended by Hansen. It was a nice little play there you see between Forbes as well as Benatti, but in the end, Benatti just grips Hansen's arm a little bit too much, wasn't able to get away with that one.
Esther Okoronkwo plays back. 8 goals, now 6 assists on the year for the Nigerian international. Ball played down this left flank. Forbes unable to keep her balance. Play back into Okoronkwo, running right at the back line. And we'll go for a corner kick, as this time it's Olivia Scott having to pick herself up against Okoronkwo. Another corner kick.
Olivia Scott does well to put her body in the way there and shut Okoronkwo down, but Okoronkwo finding that gap and that space and being able to get in there to create something dangerous. She's not able to get the shot off, but now they have a corner kick, which we've seen them score off of. They've been improving on them a lot. So this is something Ottawa has to be aware of. They have to be able to get this ball out and then be able to collect that second ball as well, Matt.
49th minutes, AFC Toronto leading a goal to nil. Regan on the set piece. It's a good ball near post, and Chu has to be attentive to that. And she does well defending. Downing's ball easily intercepted by Emma Regan. Back in again, Regan, cross into the middle, taken towards goal by Hansen. And that's taken back by the Rapid, who again are not unable to clear. The goal scorer, Hunter, runs into an aggressive Stella Downing. Downing buzzing all over the pitch here right now, taking aim at Nikki Small. Beats her on the half step. Small though, the tackles leader of the Northern Super League. He's not going to give up that fight very easily. And that was a few tense sequences there for Ottawa defending.
Yeah, Matt, and we saw them again. They're making their job a lot harder with that clearance and where they're playing it. If you are going to clear the ball out, maybe don't play it right back to Toronto, who's not too far from your goal. It has to be better from them, and then you see what happens. You have a player like Nikki Small who's brave enough to try to take on 3 players and do it confidently, and she isn't able to come out in the end with the ball, but she's confident enough to go into that battle in the first place.
Gibson didn't hear. There was some company behind her. Hunter charging in. She goes down. Watching this ball delivered out to that left side. Struck on towards goal by Barnett. And it's another corner kick already. The 5th of the match and the 2nd of half number 2.
Colby Barnett, she's been quite active in that first half for Toronto, shooting up the flank. Seeing some footwork there from Kaylee Hunter as well. Brave to constantly go at people.
Once again sent in towards goal. This is dangerous. And just missed. Another big warning shot coming from the league's top side in AFC Toronto.
Yeah, short corner. Emma Regan gets this ball into the box. Chloe Edinburgh does everything she can to just get her foot on that, and ends up trickling out of bounds right by all the Ottawa defenders, but as well as the Toronto attackers.
Gibson intercepts and plays out to Adamick. It's been a difficult first 5 minutes for the Rapid. You can really tell AFC Toronto, they're craving that second goal. This is a spot, TD Place, just one of 2 where AFC Toronto has lost away this year, the other being out in Swangard Stadium. And they do not want to leave with a repeat performance with the long bus ride home.
No, that's for sure, Matt.
This is Forbes. Might have some time and space, does well to keep it within the lines and has won a throw in. Barnett using some good speed. Played back Bonatti. Adamick. Played across Harris. We had that attempt just to begin the second half. Gibson has to recover from the heavy touch. Liv Scott. Adamick, once again, nothing getting past Barnett down that far side.
Yeah, Barnett's been solid. She's not allowing any balls past her. She knows that Forbes is a dangerous player. Seen some physicality there, some shirt pulling from Bonatti. But just as we thought, Matt, the intensity continues. It's going to continue, I think, for the rest of this matchup. It's far from over. Ottawa is a team that's shown resilience. They're also a team that has shown that even in their best, not in their best matches, they're able to find ways to score. So a lot of time for them to catch up and a lot of time for Toronto to be able to get another one. Just some physicality there from Uddenberg on Desiree Scott.
And it is an Ottawa free kick. Gibson's ball, trying to unlock this attack. And for Downing, but just a little bit too heavy. Ottawa scored the most goals of any Northern Super League team so far this year. 39 goals in 22 matches. But so far, just one shot on target as AFC Toronto has been airtight. These two teams 1 and 2 in terms of attacking. And that's something Coach Marko Milanovic said, that yes, Ottawa, a great attacking team, but half of them scored by DB. So if we can limit DB Pridham, he likes the chances.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that, but I also think that there's a lot of depth in this Ottawa squad. And, you know, even with DB Pridham not in the picture, her movements off the ball make a big difference as well, whether she's the one getting the ball in the back of the net or not. But there are a lot of capable players on this Ottawa side that can hurt you if you do give them the time and space, if you allow them to create set pieces. We saw what Julia Benatti could do from a good distance out, curling that ball into the top left corner. So very capable players, Matt. It's not just Pridham that is that threat.
Chance down the right side, ball into the penalty area. Soto takes that away. Desiree Scott on Esther Okoronkwo. And is the big striker. Big strides heading down the pitch. Has Hunter as well. They teamed up on the first goal. This ball from Okoronkwo well in behind Kaylee Hunter.
Just not on the same page in that moment, Matt. Not something we typically see from them. They're usually quite in sync in their movements and in their decision making. But Okoronkwo just playing that a bit behind Hunter.
Dealt with well there by Jaleesa Harris, and the Rapid facing some press now from Nikki Small. Harris thought about the 1v1 battle with Nikki Small and instead curled back. And AFC Toronto back in possession.
Yeah, we're seeing that to be a common thing so far in this matchup. The ball being cleared right back into Toronto's feet. Toronto creating some build-up and going right back at the Rapid back line. There has to be some sort of settlement from Ottawa to be able to really dominate and control and live on the ball. Desiree Scott just getting the back of Kaylee Hunter's leg there, resulting in a foul, and again, another dangerous opportunity for Toronto to be able to potentially get that second goal.
Desiree Scott didn't think much of that. Thought Hunter went over a little too easily.
Sometimes you have to. You got to sell it, especially as a forward. That's one thing, you know, everybody hates a flop. That word's thrown around in the soccer world, but if you feel that a bit of a push, if you feel a bit of that contact, you're taught as a striker, you got to go down.
Now the 38-year-old Desiree Scott. We'll take a look at Okoronkwo. The 57th minute in Ottawa. The left boot in towards goal. It's a terrific strike, and Dagenet makes a fine save, directing that ball over top of the crossbar in for a corner kick.
I thought we were going to see a repeat of the goal she scored against Vancouver Rise. Absolutely struck that beautifully, curled it in, just the right amount of curl and bend, but you see there Dagenet coming up huge for Ottawa, keeping that out of the back of the net.
So results in another corner kick, the third of the half for AFC Toronto, and now Isabelle Duclos will have a few words in the top of the penalty area. Really a great summer for Okoronkwo, helping Nigeria win its record 10th Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Scored in the final on a penalty and then assisted on the 88th minute winner. And right now, another corner kick that's high, and it's to Okoronkwo and headed towards goal, and that just misses. Big chance in front, and it's once again Hansen, second opportunity of the half.
Yeah, big ball in by Regan, and you see Okoronkwo does well to get up, but Hansen's not aware of exactly where her positioning is. She tries to redirect that towards goal, but ends up going wide, and you see that frustration from her. She claps her hands afterwards, thinking she was more central in that net, and would have been able to get that into the back of the net.
Scored recently in the big 7-0 win over Vancouver, so once she's tasted the back of goal once, you know she's hungry for a second.
Her celebration is one of my top favorites as well. So raw, you saw her excitement, she ran, she didn't know where to go. You love to see it.
Pure joy. It's what we all play the beautiful game for.
Very true.
Approaching an hour at TD Place in Ottawa tonight. First of 3 on this 24th match week in the Northern Super League. AFC Toronto got that first half goal from Kaylee Hunter and really have not given Ottawa much.
They've been very defensively sound this matchup, and that was something we gave them kudos for before the game, Matt. We spoke about how defensively sound they have been, how they've grown so much, because that was one of the biggest criticisms about their team at the beginning of the season. Their back line really struggling. We saw so many different faces in there trying to really find and secure who the best back three were for them. There was a bit of a disconnect between their lines. They were getting hurt in transitional moments, but they've really cleaned that up. They've tightened it up, and you're seeing how the difficult time that Ottawa is having in breaking them down. And this is the team, as you said, that has the most goals for a reason. They're a team that's very capable in the attack, but Toronto has given them very little this matchup.
Have held clean sheets in 3 of the last 4, AFC Toronto. Giving up a goal to Halifax's Tiffany Cameron in a 1-1 draw. Marko Milanovic saying that his side just wasn't as sharp as he wanted in that match. They did take a point though. And right now they're in position to take all 3 away from the Ottawa Rapid here. Harris. A win tonight for AFC Toronto. And looking at tomorrow's match, if the Roses are defeated, that would clinch the #1 spot for the Toronto-based side. Another errant pass from the Rapid, who just cannot seem to kickstart the offense.
The decision-making is continuously letting them down, Matt, and then the execution of that pass. You're even seeing in the back line when they are playing that ball across the back, they're patient, but then Kaylee Hunter decides, you know what, I'm gonna press. This is my trigger, I'm gonna go. The ball's moving too slow, and then they try to break a line, and by that point it's too late. You've already killed your momentum. You have Toronto comfortable and confident in their structure, and they're going to close you down. And then when they do get the opportunity to go forward, they're forcing the ball into nobody. You have to recognize the numbers. You have to recognize the spacing. You can't just simply play the ball into a player because you do see that she's standing there next to a defender. So it has to be cleaner from this Ottawa side. We've seen them do it time and time again, so they just have to pick it up.
62nd minutes, still time. Ball sent into touch. Have to wonder if Katrina Peterson is starting to take a look down her bench as well. Who might have a spark? Looking for an equalizer today. Ottawa's won 2 matches. AFC Toronto responded with 1 and 1 draw as well. So even with the draw, the Ottawa Rapid would win the season series, but they're going to need to work for that. Down this far side for Burns. Back into the middle looking for Okoronkwo. Harris to Chu. Speeds through the middle of the pitch. Ball played out wide, Adamek. Looking for DB Pridham and 2 defenders there waiting. And Chu will reset. Harris moves the ball quickly in, and it's Pridham. Once again trying to find some space. And there's just nothing going forward for the Rapid here so far after 62, now 63 minutes.
You're seeing the numbers. Toronto knows their duty defensively. They have players ready to pounce on the ball at all times, not give any sort of time and space to the Rapid to create anything dangerous. If there's even a slight mistake in the touch, they're there to cause issues for them.
Harris looking for Chu. It's headed away. Played back here is Downing. Into Gibson. And Olivia Scott to Desiree Scott. Adamick. Gibson. Ball pushed down for Benatti. Soto is there. Good first touch from the AFC Toronto defender. Barnett's won a throw. Already on a yellow card. We'll power this forward. Gibson and Scott. And Olivia Scott now will push to Harris. The center back will shift wide. Chu. Jaleesa Harris to Stella Downing. Fakes once. Now it's 2 on 3. Chu does well with that. Chu just outside the penalty area, now into the penalty area, and just runs out of room again. Olivia Scott.
That's well done by Chu, but she has to get rid of it earlier. She has to make that decision to get the ball into the box. You see her take a touch. She tries to drive across. I think she was looking for that potential opening of a shot, but she's shut down quickly by AFC Toronto.
Desiree Scott, the guilty party here, tripping up Okoronkwo.
Yeah, you see her just get the foot there of Okoronkwo, no ball.
You can tell there's some frustration, as it has not been Ottawa's night so far. 5 attempts, 1 on target, and in possession 52%. And don't have a corner kick compared to Toronto's 6.
A lot of Ottawa's possession has been coming from them keeping the ball in their own half. And that's where there hasn't been enough purpose behind it. There hasn't been enough danger, bite in the attack to create enough opportunities and shots on goal. As you mentioned, Matt, there should be more than one by this point. They're a team that has so many capable players to be able to create attacking opportunities, but you can't keep going backwards. You have to be able to find ways to break lines, whether that's your movement off the ball, to come into gaps, to live in those half spaces. You just have to be able to find the ball to feet. If it's over the top, picking your moments to do so and be able to execute and be precise in your passing.
Hunter's ball into Nikki Small. Small, good cross, dangerous area, sent away by the Rapid as there's some activity on the touchline for Katrina Peterson. Waited 66, 67 minutes now to look at the bench in his half. Small, good ball in, and Dagenais does well to catch that, no rebound.
See Nikki Small, she's very sneaky. She finds her positions well. She's just off the shoulder there of Chu. It looks like Chu raises her hand thinking she might be offside, but Nikki Small has that IQ to look across the back line and recognize she is still onside and ends up striking that into a dangerous area, creating something for her team. Not enough to truly test Dagenais, but on the shot itself, but there are players in the box that can create something as well.
You're watching the Northern Super League presented by BMO, the official bank of the NSL. 68 minutes have almost come and gone in the nation's capital. And so far it has been an impressive performance from the table leaders from AFC Toronto, looking for victory number 9 away this year. Pleasantly have been beaten 4 times at home this season, but it's been their away form that have really powered Marko Milanovic's side to the top. Ball is in from Burns. It's a spinning ball taken by Dagenais. 14 attempts at goal for AFC Toronto, 4 on target. They had their moments with Okoronkwo setting up Hunter midway through the first half. Into the middle, but it's away from Benatti. Hansen will move back. Soto. Into the middle, Nikki Small tries to turn away from Desiree Scott, who does well, a longtime Canadian international. Into the middle, and Melanie Forbes once again reaches out, and Soto goes down. And that should turn the attention now to the fourth official, Sheila Couture, for a couple of rapid changes. So Golan and Johanna Friedland will come in, as Melanie Forbes will come out. Looking for something up top.
Something that Coach Peterson has mentioned throughout the entirety of the season is how much depth she has in those flank areas and the capabilities of these players, whether that is a player like Golan or that is a player like Friedland, Forbes, Downing. She has so many names that she can throw out there, and she has the privilege of choosing from game to game depending on what is required, as they all have different strengths. But you're seeing here Friedland coming into the match. She's a player that's very crafty, very tricky, very smart, so she can definitely help spark something in this attack. As well as Golan, she is a little bit further back on the pitch, but a very capable player. She's very tricky, she's got great feet. We've seen what she can do when she gets involved in the attack, whether that's putting the ball in the back of the net or getting the ball into the box. So definitely two players that can help ignite this attack, hopefully, for this Ottawa side, Matt.
Reminder, the Northern Super League final is coming up November the 15th. Circle it on the calendar at BMO Field in Toronto. You can scan the QR code to the left of your screen to check out tickets. Might just be the where were you when type of days on the lakeshore. One thing for certain, history will be made.
Put it
It's
in your
the first
calendar,
NSL.
put it in your reminder, you know, whatever you got to do. Tell a friend to remind you. Just got to be sure you're there.
Send out those invites, check out those tickets. History will be made. The first ever Northern Super League champion will be crowned that day. First, we have to get there, though.
Still a lot of action before then.
Yeah, semifinals over 2 legs as well. A lot of fun ahead for Northern Super League fans. For these Ottawa fans tonight, hoping that the 2 changes, Friedland and Golan, will help spark some offense. Johanna Friedland, the Norwegian, will play off Benatti's ball, takes a deflection, comes to DB Pridham. And here is the league's leading goal scorer. Lays this ball off. Friedland tries to turn the corner, but has won a corner kick for the first time tonight, making an immediate impact. Friedland has started 3 of the last 5 games for Katrina Peterson, so has been a regular starting option. '72nd minutes into the 73rd. And it is the corner kick that's up and out of the reach of the keeper. However, a foul against Ottawa.
Looks like Cody Yard might be down. Let's another look at the corner kick. It's a good delivery in by Friedland. It goes right to that back post. Cody Yard does get a hand on it, but Pridham's not able to get there and create anything too dangerous. But it does look like Cody Yard's in quite a bit of pain.
Medical staff has come onto the pitch. It's the 22-year-old keeper who represented Portugal this summer at the European Championship. A chance for Ottawa as well to have a chat and
this would have been the perfect opportunity, Matt, for Golan to play that ball through. That's the moment to pick your players out. Friedland's able to drive forward, but instead she opts to play that with the outside of her foot, and that ends up killing the play. There are moments to provide that trickiness and that cheekiness to your decisions, and there's times to keep it simple, and that would have been the perfect opportunity to keep it simple, thread that ball through, because it was a great play. You saw Pridham come off the front, she laid it off, Golan's driving forward, Friedland's opening up that space and overtaking where Pridham once was. So great build-up play, but that final pass has to be better. There's no reason to play that with the outside of your foot. It ends up going in the opposite direction of where it should have been.
Perhaps those words echoed by Katrina Peterson in that little get-together, knowing that time is now of the essence for the Rapid. 3 wins, 2 draws in their last 5 matches, including some tricky fixtures on the road. Ottawa have picked up points in 7 of their last 8 to charge up into 2nd position in the Northern Super League table. Ball sent up and over the top. Cody Yard well out of the penalty area, has to play forward. Here's Friedland thinking about a strike towards goal, and Cody Yard recovers well, and Friedland just didn't have the power to beat the keeper there.
I think she doesn't glance over her shoulder. She realizes that Cody Yard had to have been out of her net, but Cody Yard's able to recover a lot quicker than I think Friedland was able to recognize. So she attempts to potentially chip her, but doesn't strike it well enough, doesn't get under it, and Cody Yard actually ends up being back in her net.
Ottawa has looked a little bit more lively since the double change, but a quarter of an hour to go at TD Place. They must be decisive. Looks like Nyota Katembo set to come in for AFC Toronto's first change, and it will mark the end of Chloe Uttenberg's first start since late April. Does the job, leaving after 75 minutes.
Yeah, I think well done for Chloe Uttenberg. It's not an easy position to be in, to not play big minutes or really play any minutes throughout the majority of the season, and to come in and to make an impact. You have to be a very mentally strong individual, and that's the game, that's pro sports. It's a reality for a lot of people, but well done by her. She did well to play her part. We saw her involved in some offensive plays, but she also did what was necessary defensively in the midfield and helped this team stay solid.
Katembo is in. Just 1 appearance over the last 4 matches for Katembo. This is Nikki Small. Pass intercepted there by Benatti. DB Pridham head down, full sprint. Unable to reach that ball in time. Sent back quickly. Katembo will play ahead to Small. Okoronkwo also on the right side, and there was some ultra physicality there from Golan, who looked to have lashed out with Okoronkwo down on the pitch.
Yeah, we'll see another look at it here. Just some physicality on the back of Okoronkwo, and it looks like they exchanged some words.
Yeah, it looks like the boots were up there from Okoronkwo. Golan didn't like it.
Rightfully so.
Dealt with quickly and swiftly by the head referee. Benatti in the middle. Play to Adamic. Downing. Operating now on the right side, but gives the ball away here. Okoronkwo has room. Left side. Barnett charging forward, same with Kaylee Hunter. This ball is caught with a slight bobble by Dagenais. And Gibson will take over.
The tale of the second half, Matt, is every time Ottawa does create something going forward, they opt to go backwards, and they start and put themselves in a more difficult position to once again try to come forward when Toronto is set in their structure. You also have players like Hunter and Okoronkwo who are always applying that back pressure, and they're ready if they need to pounce. So going backwards isn't always the best option. There has to be a solution to be able to live and dominate in your opponent's half, and we haven't seen that from Ottawa today.
Hunter, Okoronkwo, she can strike from distance. Thought about it there with that left boot. Will play off again. Kaylee Hunter in the penalty area, strikes right on goal, and Dagenais holding her ground. It was right at the Ottawa keeper, but Dagenais does well there.
And you see that IQ from Hunter. From this angle, you're looking and I'm yelling in my head, where's the flank player? Where's Barnett? But she's not able to get up there quick enough. But Okoronkwo does so well to be patient, and Kaylee Hunter makes that run, times it, stays on side, and ends up pulling a bit more width and pulls wide to be able to get on the ball and take a shot. Obviously didn't get by Dagenais. She does well.
Desiree Scott's able to get away from Emma Regan, but the pass from Desiree Scott intercepted. Gibson does well though. Takes the ball away from Hansen. Played wide to Stella Downing with a step over. Strikes towards goal, and it's a one-hopper into the arms of the AFC Toronto keeper. And now belted away by Cotillard. It has been a thorough performance tonight for AFC Toronto, who have gone 4 straight away from home without tasting defeat, and in position to make it 4 wins of 5. However, Downing finally has space, and she's dragged down on that right side, and the referee says play on. Zoe Burns backtracking, and Stella Downing can't believe it. Neither can the fans.
That through ball is what we've been looking for. Golan does really well, plays that perfectly timed run. You see that physicality from Burns. Doesn't look like she touches the ball at all. Toronto getting lucky to get away with that one.
Chances have been few and far between, and the Rapid might have some ill will after that goes undetected. These fans urging Ottawa on over the last 10 minutes. Stella Downing has to chase after the touch and does so. Downing's ball once again trying to go through. It's cut off and Hunter takes over. Benatti closes the gap. Played back again. Hansen's ball deflects away. Gibson tries to go forward looking for DB. Takes a touch. Works for Johanna Friedland, and the ball just never quite arrived for the substitute. Okoronkwo. 1-on-6. Still has the ball.
She's so confident and swift with it as well. You know, there's no sense of urgency because there doesn't have to be in that moment, but you just see her, she takes the touch, calm, cool, collected, looks around, waits for an option. Doesn't matter if it's 6v1, she's confident she's got this.
Some activity again on the Rapid touchline there. Belzile and Suzanne Holland look to be making their way towards the 4th official. We play on, 83rd minute. Downing. Pressured, and the ball pushed back again by AFC Toronto. Harris's ball looking for DB. Cotillard comes out to make sure there's nothing there for the 18-time goal scorer. Adamick. Barely able to keep it in, no. This ball will be back in Toronto possession. Ball into the middle. This is Golan. Nikola Golan beaten to this ball by Hunter, and Hunter wins the foul. Hunter wonders why there's no card showing. And will require an explanation.
Seen Regan tell her it's not worth it. Just keep walking. It's not worth a card to talk back. But you see here, she does well to get in front of Golan, and looks like Golan just sort of sticks her arms out in front of her and grabs Kaylee Hunter's waist a little bit.
So another double change for the Rapid with Florence Belzile of Chicoutimi, Quebec coming into this match. Adamick comes out, and Suzanne Holland, who has played 90 minutes and 4 of the last 5 coming into tonight, will take off the 3-time Olympic medalist Desiree Scott. So Holland in, and AFC Toronto also making a change, bringing in the 31-year-old Jade Kovacevic. And Esther Okoronkwo, who does contribute to the goal scoring tonight with an assist, will take a seat after 85 minutes of work. So a new dynamic in this match now, Jess. Is there something late for either of these two sides? Ball off of Small into touch. Kovacevic recently scored her first NSL goal in the big 7-0 drubbing of Vancouver. Barnett's onto this ball now, trying to beat out Belzile. Downing will join. Once again, some fine play from Colby Barnett.
And Belzile's a player too that has really stepped up, specifically in the second half of the season for Ottawa when she's gotten minutes in making an impact, and whether she is scoring the goals or she's making those runs and down the flank, going 1v1, getting the ball into the box. But she's been a very good player for them, a big bright spot as well. And one thing that Stella Downing mentioned to us in the pregame interview was she said that she focuses on the things that she can control, and that's her work ethic. And I think after watching her today, you can see that she is an absolute spark plug, that regardless of how things are going her way, she continues to try again and again. She doesn't get down on herself. She has that positivity that's needed and what makes, a really good player.
Yeah, it's often head down and full sprint for Ottawa's number 98. Played 76 minutes out at Swangard Stadium and has surpassed that total for the first time moving into the final phase of the match since the beginning of August. Belzile has also scored some big goals. You mentioned that. Scored goal against Halifax to start the road trip. There being a 1-1 draw on the Atlantic coast for the Rapid on that day. Barnett looks towards Kovacevic, who's just outside the penalty area now.
We're going to see that time wasting, taking it into the corner.
Will be Ottawa ball. Barnett already into the referee's book for time wasting back in the first half. One back though by AFC Toronto, and Small will once again head towards the corner. As AFC Toronto will try and just see this one out.
Even though there is a few minutes, Matt, and we're seeing them head to the corner to waste some time, and it's a very frustrating thing when you're playing against that, when you're chasing the game as as the opponent, as Ottawa's trying to score that goal and level it out. It's frustrating when a team is taking that ball in the corner and you're not able to get it, and they continuously keep it there as they're doing right now. It's just frustrating. You're chasing.
Arms up for offside. The assistant referees agree. The time is certainly of the essence now for the Ottawa Rapid. Just have the 2 shots on target now on 6 attempts. Dagenet Sends this away. Small. Kovacevic looking for Kaylee Hunter. Ball deflected away from AFC, Toronto's goal scorer tonight.
We're also seeing Kaylee Hunter's pace continue. She hasn't let down at all, both defensively and offensively. She's making those runs. She's trying to break lines. She's drawing attention to herself.
'89th minutes. Ottawa has been held without a goal just once since August the 9th. So in unfamiliar territory here. But you can't really point to a moment and say that was the chance. Been very few chances tonight.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything that's been, you know, a wow moment, as you said, Matt, where they should have finished. There wasn't enough quality in the attack for them tonight. Overall, I would say that final pass is letting them down. The final strike on frame wasn't anything that was really giving Cotillard a hard time, and she wasn't able to collect quite easily. So I don't think they tested her enough tonight, and I think that in that final third, the simple things were letting them down. The decision making of, you know, whether to hit that long ball, if it was on, the recognition of when to play to feed and not to force things, and to win those first and second balls. All of it was a little sloppy from them tonight, and that's something that's not common for this Ottawa side.
4 minutes of stoppage time as Downing and Nikki Small do battle. Downing wants to keep the ball moving here. Still running after 90 minutes. Will she be rewarded for her efforts? Barnett heads down. Holland beaten to the ball. Kovacevic will look to play keep away again. 3 defenders close in. Just an airtight performance tonight from AFC Toronto. DB had maybe a chance and a half in the early stages of the first half, but really since then, there hasn't been much.
And within that, you know, the early stages of the matchup, I don't think either team really settled the ball that well. There was a lot of back and forth. They would create and then it would be disrupted and go back the other way. Both teams having a couple chances that were decently dangerous. I wouldn't say they were over the top dangerous or anything too threatening. But AFC Toronto is not a team that you want to give confidence to, and they were able to score that goal. They were creating a lot more dangerous chances as they built into that second half. I would say after the first 10 minutes, they really took over control. Ottawa is not living in Toronto's half enough. They're not dominating in their opponent's half. They're not manipulating the opponent as we typically see them do.
Foul given against the home side. Golan once again expressing some frustration as Katembo down for a brief moment. Cotillard will send this away. Hunter onto the ball, looking for a second, and Dagenet watches it go off the top of the crossbar in for a goal kick. Hunter thought there was a touch there.
Yeah, Kaylee Hunter continues to show her quality. She hits that with the inside of her foot. Looks like it goes off the crossbar, but well done by her. Doesn't need an extra touch. Looks up, recognizes what's available to her, and takes her chance.
Ottawa's won the free kick. Will be the big boot of Jaleesa Harris. All it takes is one moment. Has the time come for the Rapid? Free kick sent in, headed on towards goal, and it is a goal kick defended well again by AFC Toronto.
It's not the best delivery in by Harris. It needs to be a little bit closer into where that penalty spot is, more between the penalty spot and the top of the 6, giving her runners an opportunity to drive forward. It goes a little far. Pridham's not able to get her head on it. And you're seeing that frustration from Ottawa right now in the attack. It's not quite coming together for them.
Sent away again. Holland. Played back to the Norwegian substitute. Harris again goes up and over the top. Cody Yard has to come out. Hits it with her knee. Downing is there, tries to put it towards goal, and it bounces back in, and Cody Yard taking a gamble with that. Hasn't had a lot to do tonight, but playing a risky game there, and that is full time as AFC Toronto comes into Ottawa and takes all 3 points and takes a massive step towards clinching the Northern Super League Shield.
That was a well-deserved win by Toronto. I thought, they brought that energy from that first moment. They started to find their footing as that first half, I would say past that first 10-ish minutes, they were able to find their footing. They were creating more dangerous opportunities. Kaylee Hunter obviously coming up big for them, but you were seeing what they're capable of. Defensively, they had an absolutely stellar performance, Matt. You saw how compact they were. They didn't give Ottawa any time or space. They were shutting down every opportunity. They were well connected. They were communicating. A very good performance from Toronto on the defensive end, and obviously able to score, so on the offensive end as well, but just not good enough from Ottawa tonight. Something that was very out of character from them. They weren't dominating and manipulating their opponent in the opponent's half as we typically see them do. So many quality players, but just needed to be better from them.
The goal scoring done by this dynamic duo tonight. Kaylee Hunter up to 13 goals now on the year, and how about the season from Esther Okoronkwo? 8 goals, 6 assists, setting up the winner here today. That is one dynamic front from AFC Toronto.
These are two players that complement each other very well. Kaylee Hunter is that player that loves to break lines and get in behind, but Esther Okoronkwo is that big presence off the front. She's very good with her feet. She loves to get it to her feet. She turns. She has the IQ to slip those balls through, as we saw on Kaylee Hunter's goal, but just a really fun duo to watch, and we've seen them grow so much throughout this season, and it's definitely been a pleasure.
Well, this season series, after 5 meetings, dead even, 2 wins apiece and a draw. And it is AFC Toronto holding Ottawa without a win over the last 3 meetings of the season. Keep that in mind if we do see the Battle of Ontario in the playoffs. Here's a look at the damage tonight. AFC Toronto with 16 total shots, 5 of them on target, 4 saves from Dagenet, but beaten in the 32nd minute by a sprinting Kaylee Hunter, set up by Okoronkwo, and AFC Toronto really shut it down from that point. So the win means AFC Toronto firmly in that top spot. Ottawa cannot catch Toronto anymore with just 2 matches to play, and with a Calgary win over Montreal, AFC Toronto would clinch the first ever NSL Supporters Shield and the top of the league. Big performance from the visitors.
Yeah, after performances like that, Matt, they are in a well-deserved spot to be at the top of the table.
On behalf of Jess Lisi and all of our hardworking crew at the Northern Super League, my name is Matt Cullen. Thanks for joining us. Once again, the final score, the Ottawa Rapid 0, AFC Toronto 1, full time from TD Place.